to Don's Manufactory. I want to apologize. I haven't put out a video in several weeks. Mainly, well, to be honest, I sort of lost my motivation. I've been kind of tinkering and playing around with stuff, but pretty much it was the holidays, and then COVID came to my house, and we're still dealing with that. Fortunately, I still test negative. My granddaughter's been sick for the last week, so we're I just kind of lost my drive. In the meantime, though, I kind of been tinkering a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm still messing around with the doors. I've been working on the window, just de-rusting it and getting it painted up. All the little parts that go inside. Got some toys for tools for Christmas. One of them was this little Craftsman ratchet. It even has a little LED light. Anyway, I just used this yesterday replacing emergency brake cables on my 84 GMC van. It kind of came in handy. It was easier than I have to work on that thing. It's so big I have to work on it outside of the driveway. So it was handy not having to run an air hose out there. So, yeah, just rust. You can see that there's a little bit of rust where the plating isn't very good anymore. So I'm just cleaning up and treating the rust and painting it. See, pretty good on the outside there where it needs a little help. On the door here, you can see where it cracked out around the screws, and I just put great big washers in there, and probably back in the 80s. And the pieces have just been hanging out all this time, but I'm going to weld that up. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put a reinforcement on the inside of the door. I'm just going to make a plate to fit in there and do that. And get the inside of this door treated and the bottom edge just like the other one. And I've got a little rusty spot down in that front corner where these doors always have problems. So I'll be doing that. I'm just going to get back to it. I got to figure out what I'm going to do about this felt here inside the track. I've been looking at different possibilities, and I'm not really pleased with what they have. I'd just as soon use the self-adhesive, even the hook side of Velcro would probably work better inside that track. So I may look at that. I don't know. I've got to come up with a fix for that because it's all worn out on the driver's side. The passenger side actually looks pretty good. I don't need to do anything with it, but the driver's side, of course, has the most wear. So yeah, little bits of rust here and there to take care of. So other than that, the rest of the car, I haven't really done a whole lot of anything. So as you can see, I've been kind of plunking around with different things. I had some computer stuff I had to do. One of my main diagnostic systems went down, and the card in the computer is no longer functioning, and I got to get that fixed. And so I've been trying to learn some new software, stuff like that, Has nothing to do with Betsy, but it's stuff I got to get done, so just been busy. I'll try to be a little more diligent with the videos, but frankly, I'm just getting to the point where I want this dang car to be done. I want to be able to drive it. I've almost resigned myself to having to paint it. I've tried to make some connections. Body shops, things are shutting down everywhere. Nobody's taking any work. Nobody wants to do it. So it's either not going to get done at all, or I'm going to do it myself. That's the only option there is. So once again, sorry that I haven't been putting out videos, but there just hasn't been anything to see. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. My front end parts. Okay, I got all of my regular Moog type parts, you know, drag link, tie rods, new Pitman arm, new idler arm, that kind of thing. The steering box, however, I finally pulled the trigger and ordered a new one from CJ's, and they sent the wrong one. And so I had to ship it back at my expense, which is not cheap. And so I just haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do about the steering box yet. I think maybe even today I may tear this steering box out and see if I can't remanufacture it myself. Even if I have to turn, you know, go find my own bearings, turn bushings, turn in polished shafts, or whatever it is I have to do in order to refurbish it. The big problem being that the high center is worn out on the sector gear. So I don't know how I'm going to take care of that. But because it's not a fast spinning gear, I don't have to worry about noise or perfect profile. I might be able to hand machine the edges of the sector gear down and restore the high center tightness to the steering box. I don't know yet. And I'm just thinking maybe I'm just going to fix it myself. But I waited 7 weeks. I waited 7 weeks for that steering box, and then it's the wrong one, and I had to pay for return shipping, and it's just really pissed me off. Some stuff just got pushed out until February 1st. Whack. So thanks for watching Don's Manufactory, if you're still watching. So this is how far I've gotten it, getting the rust off, down to just the biggest of pits with just a touch of rust on the inside of them. Can't really do a lot about getting the last of that out. You know, you can sandblast, but I got the glass here and everything, and I don't have a sandblaster anyway. So this is as good as I get it. My thinking is that if I can get the rust off down to the point where it's very thin, then when I treat it with OSPO, the entire rust will be converted. Because normally it only soaks in just so far and converts the top layer, and there's red rust underneath. But if you get to the point where red rust doesn't come out anymore, and I checked that by putting some of this on, you can see how it turns black. Well, that's where the rust is, down in the bottoms of those pits. So then the question is, if I take a stainless brush here, and I just work it over the top of this rust, see I'm getting a little rust out? That means there's red rust underneath the converted rust. And I want to keep doing that until that no longer happens. And then I know that I've got whatever rust is left has been converted. And I'm pretty safe to go ahead and I also have my drill over here. This is the only reversing thing I have, so you can get these wire brushes to bite a lot harder, spinning them slower speeds, and then reverse them back and forth. And that way you're always keeping a sharp edge. If I reverse it, yeah, just sparing you the noise. I'm trying to dig down into those pits with the rust. I'm using a fairly coarse brush, and I'm spinning at slow speeds. Otherwise, bending them back and forth like that, it'll end up just throwing wires like crazy. I'm going to get me a new squirt bottle. This one is starting to not work. That's just water. So the water just neutralizes the acid, and I clean it off. It also gets any soluble rust out of there so that then I can get a fresh read off of how much rust is down in those pits. I know this process seems pretty tedious, but you know, hey, it works. Now I'm using a finer brush trying to polish some of that rough stuff I just did with the coarse wire brush. There you have it. Now we just let it sit.
Seems like I do a lot of this, waiting for paint to dry. Just trying to get all the goodies of the door put together or fixed up or whatever.
I'm setting up to cut my patch out. As you can see, there's a couple little rusty holes. Came out pretty easy, and I leave the rolled edge there so that it doesn't look like it's been fixed after it's fixed. So there's the piece I cut out. Rusted through in two little spots there. It's getting a little thin around in there. What I'll have to do is get a look-see at the inside of this panel going back this way and find out how bad the rust is. If it's bad like this, I will just continue cutting this little patch out. Normally though, it's only this bad right in this corner where water just hangs out right in here. I'd actually like to have a drain in there somewhere where water that's collected in there can just run out. Now I get to do all that same de-rusting right here, get that all cleaned up, and then we'll see where we are. Okay, so I just did some wire brushing, and sure enough, you can see there's a hole right there. That's what, same thing happened on the other door. As soon as I started wire brushing inside here, it just blew a hole right through the other side of the metal. I will probably just go ahead and weld up these little spots and then grind them off. The next thing I do is, there's a little lip here. I left the roll at the edge. And what I end up doing is grinding that down a little bit, the thickness of the metal, so that the patch lays right in there. And then when I weld it on the edge, I'm not actually welding to the inner panel. And then if anybody ever wants to do a door skin on this later, the whole door skin, patch and all, will just come off like a regular door skin, like it hadn't been repaired. Hello, update. Well, I went to dinner. I went inside, had some dinner, and I came back out, and one of the fluorescent lights had fallen off the ceiling and crashed, and it didn't break the tubes. Pretty amazing, huh? So here's the little patch right there with the holes in it. So I got it patched in there. The weld didn't come. For some reason, the metal pulled again right there. Pulled a little bit right there too, but whatever. Here's my next problem on this driver's door is the mirror. This screw barely holds. This one is stripped out. I could put a nut underneath there, and I actually had at one time. So what I am deciding I'm going to do is make a little reinforcement here with the screws mounted at the proper angles. And this plate will be welded in underneath there as a reinforcement because it's kind of thin and fatigued there. And so I'll weld that on there. It's got these stainless nuts that I'll weld on there, and I'll use stainless screws, and they shouldn't rust, and then I shouldn't have any trouble with it. So basically I'll just drill a couple of holes and actually screw this plate into place, and then put a couple of welds in there, and then this will sit underneath, and that'll be a permanent mirror mount. Okay, so finished product. That's where the two spot welds are. Screws, stainless screws there waiting for the mirror. I can't seem to find my little plastic piece that goes underneath the mirror, so I don't have it mounted as a test, but as soon as I locate that, I remember seeing it a few weeks ago, but wow, I don't know. Couldn't seem to dig it up. That's it so far. It's, I don't know, 9:30. I'm knocking off. And later.